Hi everyone. Okay, so good evening. Tonight we will look at this very important topic, the competitive advantage. Okay, yeah. So let's start. Okay, yeah. We'll look at the how AI can drive the innovation competitiveness. Of course, at the same time, we also expect that we will look at the how the competitive advantage related to the our innovation, right? So innovation now is one of the major area. Okay, yeah. So the importance of innovation, the in terms of the business is the most critical part, right? Sometimes we call cornerstone of the business strategy, and in the especially in the global marketing space, is a call we somehow we call it lifeblood of sustainable competitive advantage. We are not looking into one-off competitive advantage, okay? It's ongoing. We call sustainable competitive advantage. So why we need to have the innovation in our business? Because we can differentiate, it's a very strong differentiation from our competitors, an ability to command premium pricing so that we don't need to keep on competing in price. And sometimes we can create new markets. And of course, we can outpace our competitors beyond traditional operation efficiency also. So innovation and competitive advantage, right? So innovation now is a key driver. It allows the organization go forward in competitive landscape, allow companies to go beyond market limitations. Sometimes we need to keep on changing, or we don't call change, it's a reinventing our business model, right? Yeah. So that we can able to create a value proposition for improving or able to enhance the customer experience. We can see the Apple iPhone, right? Some from the entry into the smartphone market many years ago, and Tesla reinvent of the whole entire automobile industry. The innovation sometimes we can look at multi-dimensional nature, right? Yeah. So it's only a narrow, it's not just a narrow spectrum, it's a wide, broad spectrum of innovation. It go beyond technology breakthroughs, involved in various activities, creating value through the various or even traditional approach as well, right? Yeah, and of course, sometimes we would like to make sure that we are um, able to involve various activities so that we can create value through novel approach, right? So Oslo manual definition, it recognized international source for innovation data guardian. And it define innovation as new significant improved product or processes, marketing, or different new organizational model. So it's why we say innovation is not only one single dimension, it covers different types. So what are they? The type of innovation, first, of course, we understand product innovation is one of the main one, right? If we introduce new or significant improved goods or services, focus on characteristic or intent use, right? So, but apart from the product innovation, we should look at the process innovation. So it can involve implementation of new improved product or delivery method and includes change in technique, equipment, and the software. And sometimes we can consider the marketing innovation, new marketing method so that we can penetrate in a different market segment, involve product design, packaging, placement, promotion, and pricing. We can able to create a new organizational method in business practice. This is what we call innovation in organization innovation. And of course, we can create a new, interesting, exciting business model. That one we call business model innovation. So what are the impact of innovation type? Just as I mentioned, okay, this is called product innovation. Sometimes we consider right, the direct marketing differentiation. So people look at the product, very different, okay? It serves the purpose better, right? The other is a process innovation. They result in cost leadership because we're able to sell at a cheaper price, okay, or you have bigger profit margin. The other one is a strategic leveraging. Understanding distinction is a very critical for organization, right? So competitive advantage changes resolution, okay, evolution. So how do we define the competitive advantage, right? Yeah, so it involves attribute that allow organization to outperform competitors. Michael Porter's type, okay, there's a three very major concept. One is called cost leadership, differentiation, focus, strategy. And sometimes we may have just a temporary competitive advantage, so that we have rapid imitation of success strategy. Sometimes, like even like Microsoft, right? You don't create everything is new, right? So you look at the market leader and come up with better, successful strategy, right? So actually, it's not a new one; they follow, okay, but it's better. Technology quickly diffuse across industry. I think AI is one of them, right? So then also, we have different concept. For example, from Rita, Ghana Macro. Sustainable, compared with the temporary competitive advantage, we have sustainable competitive advantage. Of course, every entrepreneur would like to have this. Require ongoing innovation. Okay, you cannot just stop there. You must keep on improving. Organization must cultivate transient advantage. And once they recognize the market change, right, then they will do a rapidly reconfigure resources. So creating competitive advantage through innovation, right? So tonight we combine the innovation, AI, and the competitive advantage together. So innovation differentiate offering so that we can have unique product, services, or experience, and competitors cannot easily replicate, right? So the other one is we mentioned about achieve cost leadership. The process innovation improve efficiency, and we can reduce the production cost. And we can create a new market by identifying and addressing unmet customer needs. Okay, so there's a certain customer need, no one have addressed that. So you can, that's where like the Steve Jobs, right? It's always believed that customer may not need that. There's a lot of unmet customer need. So Apple should create the product to meet this. You create entire new value proposition. Okay, sometimes it's very powerful if you can able to identify new markets and enhance adaptability. So you can develop capability for rapid response. And of course, at the end, the best is to build your own unique brand, right? So we call brand equity. So how can we facilitate the innovation through competitive advantage? The resources for R&D, we need to, sometimes we understand that, right? It's very expensive for R&D. But companies like Huawei, right? They pour back 10 to 20% of the research back to the revenue back to the R&D. Why? Because at the end, they realize that it will provide the entrepreneurs superior financial performance and enable greater investment in innovation activities. So the return on investment is good. Also, we can consider attract talent. So market leading company, often many talent would like to join you. Okay, they think that you can learn very fast. Also, they can able to enhance their innovative capability, right? Risk tolerance. So for this type of company, they have stronger competitive position, allow company to take calculated risk. When I say calculated risk, it means that they consider the risk, but they're risk taking, right? They consider what's the worst case. So it's called calculated risk on innovation initiative. Market feedback is very important so that we can enable establish market presence so that it provide rich customer data. So using the data, you can keep on improve the innovation. Okay, yeah. So virtuous cycle of innovation and advantage, right? So the innovation lead to competitive advantage. We mentioned that. And in fact, coming back, the competitive advantage enable further innovation. So it's a loop, it's a cycle. It's what we call cycle, vicious cycle. So the requirement for the cycle is first we need to have a very strong marketing management. Also, we need to have a strategic align between your goal, company objective, vision to the development. Right. And sometimes in certain pieces, the resources is the main thing, right? So this is what we call resource-based view. Resource-based view fundamental, right? So the advantage is from VRIN resources. For example, only you can have these variable resources. Rare, not many people have that there, right? Okay, minutable, unique, and not substitutable resources, right? So it's why actually if you look at the world, right, different country, different market, different location, they have unique positioning, right? Because they may have a very unique, non-substitutable resources, right? Like Middle East, right? The oil, the oil, the gas, they're very rich. The other one is we call innovation capability as VRIN. In this case, even they don't have the natural resources, but with the continuous development of new product services and processes and the business model, and they are able to create very strong value and very difficult for competitor to replicate, right? So Singapore, we try to focus on that because we all know that we don't have much resources, right? Like Indonesia. Indonesia have a lot of resources, right? The other is we call sustainable innovation-based advantage. It's a resilience on tactic knowledge. So that market, we get this kind of entrepreneurs, the company, they have very strong knowledge and they have very complicated organizational routine. And the path dependence development is not one of the long-term plan, long-term path for the development. For example, Apple integration of this design thinking, right? So they have advantage from the product integration. So they have very strong capability built over decades and embed in the Apple culture. The other type we call dynamic capabilities. This is very interesting, right? So for this type of advantage, what they do is that they are looking into so first of all, how do we define the dynamic capabilities? This for the company have ability to integrate, build, and reconfigure the competency. So they are very strong, very flexible. They're able to address rapid changes environments for this type of company, right? So what is the role of innovation? They then become this dynamic capability become a innovation factor. It enables sensing and seeking the market opportunity. Every time we have new market coming, this kind of company, they very fast, they're able to capture it because they're very dynamic. So it become a dynamic capabilities. They transform asset-based organization structure from time to time. Right? So we understand sometimes static resources become obsolete quickly, right? So if we have static resources, I can know, because this place have the mine, so we just stick on that. But what happens if all the mining resources all run out, right? So in this case, the static resources sometimes it may not be good news. So we need to have very strong dynamic capability, allow continuous innovation so that we can maintain the competitive advantage, right? So that is what we call dynamic capability. So here we introduce the disruptive innovation theory. It's developed by Christensen, explain how small firm challenge established business, right? So a lot of small firms actually, what they do is that they go into the market and they destroy existing big players. And many small companies, they using this strategy and eventually they become a big player, right? We can see many startup company, tech company, they start with that. So what they do is that they targeting overlooked segments, certain segment that the big player or other competitors, they are not focused. For example, they focus on simpler, more affordable products. So if a competitor is selling a very expensive price, but sometimes a certain customer cannot afford, right? Then you develop a lower cost with the lower with the innovation, right? So in this case, you can maintain advantage in price and convenience. Sometimes you can see that, right? Like a lot of big company, but in between, there's a lot of small company around the area, right? You see in the retail, the F&B industry. So in this case, the disruptive innovation company create competitive advantage by changing the basis of competition, introduce new value proposition. We can see the Netflix, Blockbuster, right? They're all focusing. Blockbuster is basically a very big firm, but later Netflix overcome that and focus on convenience and no late fee, right? During that DVD time. So open innovation paradigm. So the concept of open innovation, what does it mean by open innovation? The firm should use both external and internal idea. It means all the idea is not from internal. They also embrace idea from outside, right? So this is very powerful. So you compare with those traditional vertical integration model. Vertical, it means that the whole supply chain, the company trying to integrate, okay, obtain the whole entire supply chain. But sometimes you do that, the other people may be using totally different supply chain to meet the market, right? To hit the market. So the competitive advantage, right? So then in this case, they will expand a pool of ideas and capability. So allow you to enable rapid and cost-effective innovation. Sometimes we consider the innovation by looking for partnership, acquire other companies or even your competitors, open platform so that people can develop solutions, they can make money out of your platform. So we have this term called blue ocean. So when we describe red ocean, it means that a lot of competitors is fighting for that same market, and they are fighting in pricing. Sometimes they may not making money, everyone lost, right? So people describe China now actually is a bit of red ocean because competition is very high. But we can see that some strong company, innovative company, creating a brand blue ocean, right, in China. So what is the blue ocean? Concept of blue ocean strategy is creating uncontested market space. Wow, that's good. Not many competitors. And advantage is you can avoid competition in overcrowded industry. So if you want to start a company, you want to build a new startup, you should look for area is not overcrowded. So key element, then you're able to apply together the differentiation and low cost strategy. And in this case, you can create new demand instead of competing for existing customer. That is the reason that we call blue ocean, okay, compared with red ocean. The role of innovation, right? Yeah. So basically, the innovation you are expanding, right? You're expanding existing market boundary. You create a new value proposition. Okay. Yeah. And what is the competitive advantage in this blue ocean strategy? Try to be first mover, because if you're the first mover into this blue ocean, then you will benefit in this new market. Sometimes we understand, right? We don't want to have a too big changes, too much of the innovation. So we want to do it step by step. This is what we call incremental and compare with radical innovation, right? So incremental innovation is basically involve moderate step by step, okay, part by part, okay. We got moderate improvement to existing product and services and process. So you can see that many products actually you can see that every time you feel good. Why? Because every time they have new model coming in, and then you have a better experience. So in this case, you create sustainable competitive advantage through cumulative impact. Okay, yeah. So for you, Toyota, right? Those Toyota also always, every model they improve by bit, right? But of course, with the today environment, Sometimes you cannot do that. You may need to consider a radical innovation. Or then in this case, just like EV, right? Change the whole entire auto industry, auto car industry, automobile industry. So involve fundamental changes that represent the whole entire industry. New practice, very clear, okay, they phase out the old model, right? Old product. So in this case, you create a stronger competitive advantage by rendering existing product or business model obsolete. And of course, sometimes we need to do a balance, right? We need to consider that whether should we go to incremental or radical changes. So it's vary from industry context and organizational goal. Certain time that you find that if a stable industry, we cannot make too much changes. So that is more towards incremental innovation, right? Yeah, but if we're talking about the technology area, right? So we can see that there's a lot of radical changes. For example, AI just jump in and change the whole entire world, right? It's really a huge radical changes, or we call radical innovation. So sustaining compared with disruptive innovation. Sustainable innovation involved in existing product along multidimensional value by streamline customer. Then in this case, it will help established companies serve their most profitable customer better. So that for company understand that instead of competing in many areas, they focus, right? And then they just serve this particular customer and they believe they can make the most. So the product, they just, for a luxury brand, right? They focus on high net worth luxury market. So then in this case, they will keep on reinforce existing competitive position, right? Yeah. And the other one is disruptive innovation. So initially, they underperform on attribute value by mainstream customers, right? So initially, when it disrupt, a lot of mainstream customers say, hey, no, I don't think they can make it, right? So a lot of traditional customers don't see that this is a new product. Then slowly they realize that, oh, this they realize the benefit, simplicity, convenience, or lower cost, and then they start changing, right? So in this case, you as an entrepreneurs, when you introduce the disruptive innovation, you serve overlooked segment, or someone we call new market. No one look at that. In fact, if you look at the whole entire market, right? So a lot of product have already captured by the West. But in Asia, there's a lot of different product, especially new and low cost product, right? So they cannot change the existing product into low cost because the pricing, the cost is very expensive, right? So in this case, it allowed many Asian entrepreneurs come up and create a brand new disruptive innovation and disruptive product. And if you look at long time ago, right, mini computer disrupt mainframe and personal computer disrupt the mini computers. So sometimes we make changes, innovation, we do the architectural level via component level. Of course, architecture level is more for system level, right? So basically, they reconfigure existing component into new system. So it's still a new components, but the way they integrate, the way that they deliver is different. The way they do it in the architecture level. This is what we call architectural innovation. So they keep the component knowledge, but while changing linkage between the components. So they create competitive advantage by leveraging existing technology. It's not brand new technologies, right? If you look at the AI, actually AI more or less is leveraging existing digital technology, IT technology, isn't it, right? So then the other one is the components innovation. Then in this case, is involved in improvement to individual element within established system architecture, right? So the architecture did not change, but they just make certain components better, right? So then in this case, they create advantage through enhance performance or reduce cost of specific component. For example, Intel, right? So Intel, is they're famous in continuous improvement of microprocessors. But of course, they overlook the mobile market so that they lose out, okay, to Qualcomm. And when you go to Qualcomm, right, so they also did not focus on graphic card, graphic CPU, right? So they lose out into to the NVIDIA, you see, right? So that is why the component innovation sometimes, you know, you must be very flexible. How about the technological and business model innovation? That is interesting. The technology, okay, we call technological innovation. So the app is the application of scientific knowledge to practical purposes. The result in new and improved product and services and products, processes and services. And they create competitive advantage through enhanced function, quality, and efficiency. For example, 3M famous look-in notes, post-it notes, and then it's a product, but it's turned out to be very, very convenient, and people like it, right? The sticker. Then the business model innovation, they make a fundamental changes of how organizations create, deliver, and capture value. And very interesting, they're able to create a strong competitive advantage compared with traditional business model. For example, Uber, right? I think Uber, you can see that Uber, when introduced, it really, really disrupt the whole entire taxi-based transportation system, right? Even the traditional train station, right? So that is a very interesting model. So how can we manage, or how do we managing the strategic innovation, okay? Or sometimes we call strategic innovation management. It's very important for us to understand this deliberate strategy. We need to have a very clear innovation objective. And when you develop this objective, you must align. When you develop business strategy, you must align with the objective. Okay, yeah. So it's like very important. You don't want to do a research, end up the business strategy cannot match. Okay, cannot align. So that is very costly. And also we need to make sure that all the resource allocation is properly governed, so that we have a very strong governance mechanisms. And you also need to have a lot of parameters matrix to evaluate innovation performance, right? Because sometimes it's very expensive, as I mentioned. Sometimes it can be very expensive. We need to make sure that make sure that you spend wisely. You got return on investment. Sometimes when we enhance the competitive advantage, we address significant market opportunity. So we base on market, then we innovate. Of course, sometimes we call accidental innovation, right? So by accident you create something, then you look for a market. But most of the time that we identify the market, then we innovate. And we need a balance between, just how we mentioned, incremental and radical projects. There's many interesting example, right? P&G also, they dedicated the whole entire innovation function in the whole in the enterprise. Nothing more important than creating an innovative culture in your company, right? That is very critical. Why? Because if the influence of organizational culture or innovation is very critical, because we emphasize experimental and tolerance intelligent failure. The innovation is a product of failure, and we should not only scare. We should not scare of failure. In fact, failure always lead to success, right? So at the end, after many failures, of course, make sure that your company have not closed down, right? So it's why we need to have a risk-taking, risk management, right? Then we can reward creative thinking and promote cross-function collaboration. You create a competitive advantage through the diverse, the innovation initiation. How can we build a strong innovative culture in your organization? It requires consistent leadership. It's why you're a leader. You, as an entrepreneur, is very, very important. You may drive the innovation, and you may able to put a structural mechanism so that you can facilitate the creative work. The HR is very important. You need to keep on recruiting innovative talent. Your staff, when new staff joining you, must be innovative. When you promote your staff, right, you must promote creative staff. Then they will able to motivate the rest of them to be more creative and innovative. The example of a company with innovative culture definitely is Google and IDEO, right? This company called IDEO. They are the one that come up with design thinking, right? So I encourage you to check out this company IDEO, and they even have an IDEO university to teach people creativity, innovation. So earlier we mentioned about open innovation and collaboration. So in fact, today, you cannot be alone. You need to work with others entrepreneurs for your business development. So during this process, we can able to enhance the competitive advantage through open innovation. So you can expand the pool of ideas and capability and require systematic approach or systematic processes for identifying external noise source. In fact, with the AI, there's a lot of knowledge you can make use of it, but you must have a systematic way to do it. So once you identify the useful knowledge for your company, then you can integrate, right, to your organization. Of course, you should also source for external and internal idea. And at the end, you must managing your IP. At the same time, also respect the IP for others. So, we mentioned that the P&G, right? Procter and Gamble's. So the aim is to source 50% innovation from outside of the company. That is very interesting. So because they feel that the innovation from outside companies sometimes is faster, success rate is higher. Cisco, right? Cisco have a very famous systematic innovation approach. They acquire they acquire startup. So they see startup as a chance, is a way of innovation. So when certain entrepreneurs startup is successful, they buy them, they acquire them, or they merge them. So in this case, they get the collaboration beyond the formal partnership. Because when you acquire a startup, basically you acquire the talent, right? Yeah. So they become part of you again. And you cannot hire them in the very beginning because these top entrepreneurs, they're very independent. They don't want to work for a company, right? So once they develop something that they can exceed, right? They can gain a very big financial return by selling the company or integrate. At the same time, this kind of talent also can integrate to your senior management. So this is why we call disruptive innovation management, right? So after you integrate the disruptive innovation into the whole entire company culture, then we need to managing them, right? So sometimes a challenge in managing disruptive innovation because it conflict with existing business model. So many companies, so many leaders, they got problem. Okay, they fail, they got bankrupt, they go to bankrupt. Why? Because they cannot disrupt their own successful product, right? We saw that many times. So one way we can share with you is you can have structured separation for success. It means that your successful business is one end, but you create another business, very different, very different. It's a freedom from a core business constraint. All right, even you may open another company, okay, not to affect your main company. Case study, right? IBM. So IBM maintain competitive advantage. IBM learned a big lesson, right? So last time they overlooked the personal computer market. So in this case, then they maintain competitive advantage. Then they separate different business units so that different business unit focusing on emerging opportunity. And even sometimes they compete with each other. Okay, the IBM division, they compete with each other. And this effective management strategy is very useful, especially for early stage innovation. We mentioned about design thinking, right? A design thinking and centered innovation is very important. So we need to have deep understanding of the user needs, not just understanding the need, is to deep research, okay? Now, deep research about their behavior. Then from them, identify which area so far we have not meet them. We not many competitors or not many entrepreneurs have target this meet. And we also need to have, because there's a lot of possibility, right? We need to really try and error. So in this case, we need to have a rapid prototype and iterative refinement. All right, so we try out and give it to the target user or pioneer user to try and get the feedback. We go back and improve, right? So it's an iterative refinement or sometimes we call agile approach. So once we create that, will help us to create competitive advantage and ensure innovation address really this customer pain point. Okay, the general user, the user pain point. And so at the same time, since research sometimes is very expensive, right? So we need to have very clear, we need to define the financial aspect clearly by implementing this financial matrix. And revenue from new product, one of the matrix, right? So that we can define whether it's worth the return of investment or not, right? So we measure as percentage of revenue from product introduced within a certain period of time. So one way a new product come in, certain time, so does we gain? Because when you don't measure the time, then it's very difficult. You may have a very strong gains, a big sales in the beginning. And after that, competitors or user already get bored of your feature, right? Or they will switch to another company. So you may not able to get the return. So you measure a fixed particular time, define time, and then you decide whether when you need to keep up the market, the product or reinvent the product. Then we also call innovation premium. So in effect, it will reflect the investor expectation of future innovation drive, driven growth. Because when the innovation is not only create one product, innovation can create many, many products. So then you need to assess the financial return. So this is what we call R&D, productivity, and the product margin differentiation. Because one way we can do is that if we have a good unique feature, other company cannot compete, right? Then we can increase the price. So it's what we have pricing power with the good innovation. We can demand higher. And if you don't have this financial matrix, you're going to have problem because you're trying to lacking indicator. Then you may overspend, or even sometimes you may not able to meet the target as fast as your competitors. And the other one is this kind of matrix. This kind of parameter is for market-based. We call market-based matrix. Brand perception innovation, right? So sometimes if they like you because you're very innovative, you're always far forward thinking, and with the result, okay, from innovation initiative. And the other one is a market-based matrix. What is that? The market-based matrix is provide you a very strong, very quick, immediate feedback compared with financial matrix. You reflect competitive dynamic directly. That is very useful. Okay, so we always mention that you're not only measuring from the customer, you look at the market. Okay, what is the market size, market share, the customer acquisition rate, how fast you acquire customer, right? And then you able to stay with this price without dropping the price to actual customer. How long you can hold your price. This is called price premium sustainability. So sometimes we conclude all these parameters into this we call innovation portfolio matrix. A portfolio balance is a distribution of innovation investment. Now, sometimes we may include incremental, adjacent, and a transformational opportunity. Pipeline velocity. The speed, how fast, okay, the speed. And once you got this idea, you got this concept, how fast you can bring into the commercial, okay, how fast you can sell the product. Sometimes we call from conception to commercialization, right? Of course, sometimes it fails. Also measure about your failure rate. A fail is okay, but you will learn from that, right? So it's why this parameter is very important. We call effectiveness in learning from failures. Okay, yeah, failure is not scary. The scary part is you fail, you don't know. You keep on doing the same thing, even after many, many failures. So we need to measure the unsuccessful initiative. And sometimes we have a option value, strategy flexibility from early stage investment, right? Yeah, and of course, early stage investment, we mean the company is still in the very beginning. So you need to give them more flexibility, right? So then you need to give some additional consideration. So capability-based matrix, so there's a look at the firm, okay? When you invest a company or you are going to market because you have special capability. For example, innovation engagement, the percentage of employee engaged in innovative activities, right? Yeah, so I mean, not everyone was involved in the research, right? So, but based on all your manpower, right? So what is the percentage? The other one is called ideation efficiency. Um, how do you generate the idea? Every idea you generate, what is the quantity, quality, and diversity? You know, the diversity of idea. Whether it's just saying many idea only apply for one area, or you have many idea, you can reach many different potential. Collaboration intensity. We measure the frequency and productivity of cross-function collaboration. We understand within the team you must collaborate, but how about different team, right? Are they working together as a team? So sometimes we measure the cross-function collaboration is good, right? Because you need many people working together. It's not a silo. It's not just separate individual, right? They want to work together as a team. The ecosystem leveraging. So they will look at what's the extent of accessing the external innovation source. That's how we mentioned, right? Certain company, they see the innovation, external idea is better, right? So in this case, you will measure. And also how they recognize the sustainable competitive advantage. They're focusing on innovation capability over individual, innovation, right? Sometimes we also need to address systematic barriers to innovation. Okay, of course, we understand every company, everyone want to be innovative, right? But they may have different constraints. Okay, they may have a financial constraint, or they cannot reach this market. They just don't know how can we reach this market. They don't have this capability, right? Yeah, so we understand that why they cannot do it, because they may have some obstacle, barrier, right? Yeah. So when we look into the disruptive innovation, right? Yeah. So we understand that every company they're steady. Okay. Sometimes we call initial, compare with the dynamic innovation or innovator dynamic. So first they want to look at the track, because they worry that if I change the product or introduce a new product, the new product kill my existing product, right? So they very worry on that, right? So they consider a short-term decision via the long-term positioning. Many big companies have this problem. This is why you see Google, right? Google have search engine, and in fact, the AI capability they are very strong compared with other company like OpenAI. But OpenAI have a very great start than Google. Why? Because Google worried that if they push the AI product, then the search engine may have problem, isn't it? Right? So in this case, there's always have this problem going on. So they worry about threat to the existing business. And the other is the processes and the value as barrier, right? So they already optimize for the current model. So they don't allow the innovation, because innovation requires different approach. And also they worry that their customer relationship, they will hinder disruptive innovation, because disruptive innovation, the certain customer, they may affect their business also, if you're talking about B2B business. So how can we overcome this organizational inertia? As an entrepreneur, as a key manager, you must understand. You must recognize different management approach for different type of innovation. Okay, there's no one size fit all approach. We may need to have structural separation necessary for disruptive innovation, right? So you don't put it all in one product. You need to separate them. And you find that you cannot be moved too fast. Fine, you may do an incremental innovation management for existing business unit, so that you can see the changes, measure the changes. How about resource allocation? What kind of challenge? Because innovation involves uncertainty, making allocation very difficult. And the traditional process, they have a predictable return. So we know that if we keep on doing this, fine. Okay? Most likely we can predict the kind of customer size. But over the transformative, and sometimes there's a lot of risk, a lot of uncertainty, right? Also, there's a certain bias, so that you may some certain company that they think that new product innovation is very expensive, so they may be under invest in this area, right? Yeah. So and then the other is we can consider using portfolio approach, allocate certain resources across different innovation type and risk level. In a sense, there's a lot of opportunity, okay, a lot of product we can invent, right? So what you do is you allocate your limited resources so that you can for different product and look at the risk. If very high risk, you may not want to allocate a lot of resources, right? Because the failure will cost you a bomb. And different evaluation criteria, right? Certain things you do radical innovation, certain things you do incremental. And of course, you need to have this very famous return on investment matrix. The radical innovation require a strategic option value and learning benefit, right? Yeah. So you must learn from that because a lot of uncertainty, right? Very fast. So the learning curve must be minimized. And of course, have a good risk management. So talent and skill gap. For the innovation, sometimes we need to have a diverse skill set for innovation. Technical expertise. So I always urge that if you are looking into technology or technical innovation, you should go work partner with university, right? Because university has a lot of technical research, and they are looking forward commercialize for their technology also, right? And create business model innovation capability. Is why sometimes the entrepreneurial mindset are critical, are very important, are crucial for success, right? Yeah. So challenge of lacking capability. So what happens if you don't have the capability, right? So then yes, you need to make a very important decision. Are you going to work with certain partners so that they have this capability advantage and they're willing to partner with you, or you just shift to another area which you have a better capability? So what kind of strategy for leading innovators, right? So they target hiring to acquire certain lead. That is important, you see. When you want to go to, you see this is a big market, and you understand that you don't have these resources. So what you do is that you acquire or you hire people who have this skill, right? So that is where many successful companies or even the entrepreneurs, they may not be very smart, right? They don't have this technical capability, but they're very smart in hiring, right? So they expand the skill development to enhance the capability. And this kind of creative partnership, they were very, very useful to access diverse talent. Right? So this is why innovation is closely linked with talent, new approach to talent engagement. Right? So innovation talent is increasing mobile and distributed. The world is talking about getting talent. You were able to get the talent, you have chance. Microsoft always say that, right? If you pull 10% talent from Microsoft, we will die, right? Because they are highly focusing on certain talent. And this is reason why the AI now, if you're able to, if of course, first you ask yourself, right, are you familiar with the AI, right? That's why we created this program. Okay, so this program basically you learn the business at the same time you apply AI, right? Then you think about what kind of resources. Then you can position yourself as an AI power manager when you're looking for a job now in the market, or you want to start a business, you can use an AI, right? Yeah, then that is why this is very, very important, this talent and skill gap. Implementation and scaling challenge, innovation to scale gap, right? Yeah, so we need to understand the gap, right? So that the gap meaning that something you don't have, right? So that is a barrier to competitive advantage. So implementation challenge. How can we have very good idea. How can we implement, right? So we need a secure resources beyond initial phase. Initially, you're not go full force yet, right? So you may not need to have such a huge resources. But as when you go on, you need more resources. Financial resources is one of them. Then you also need to navigate internal political dynamic, right? If it's a big organization, whether other department, other manager will support you. Then also you need to have a different organizational processes, and you need to develop the skill for innovative business as well, right? Yeah, and sometimes we need to scale the innovation. We need to maintain innovation, okay, asset in the large market, and also needed to customize in for different modes, different format. Now, AI and innovation, right? Yes, definitely. Now, AI impact on innovation. Now, AI have improved a lot of processes, procedure, right? So as a manager today with the AI, actually you can do a lot of things now. So, but slowly you're going to see AI impact on innovation. So it will change both the content and the process of innovation. You're enabling new category of product and services. Very soon, you're going to see very new product you will never imagine, right? Because they are also actually created by human plus AI. So these AI power innovation tools, they will accelerate idea. The whole entire ideation process will shorten. So the idea until in the design, right? So it will accelerate. So we call accelerate ideation through generative design. Okay, it makes design into next level. It will enhance the business, the decision making with this predictive analytics, so that we are able to um, make a decision faster through the simulation, through the big data. We do a very fun analysis and prediction. So as a result, it will improve implementation via the automated process automation, right? Optimization. So how the competitive advantage improve? The organization actually can leverage AI gain, okay, and because AI will improve the speed and effectiveness. So, for example, Tesla, right? Tesla use AI in self-driving features, okay, and the AI system they will analyze data feedback so that they were able to understand the customer better. So, of course, we understand everyone concerned about Earth, right? So, in terms of green direction, so how innovation can help? Definitely. This is what we call sustainable driven innovation. The environmental social sustainability it have been driving, this we call ESG, right? Sometimes ESG, the environmental, social, and governance, right? So it been driving innovation across the industry. Okay, it assess sustainable challenge, and it really creating a good business value. So it will reduce the cost through the energy efficiency, not only helping the earth, right? So at the same time, also reduce the cost. So then we can create a very differentiation with the sustainable offer. Especially now the younger generation, they really concerned when they consume a product, they don't make sure that it's really environmental friendly, right? And you can mitigate a lot of risk because sooner or later you see a lot of regulation come up. So you don't want to have risk when your product being restricted by certain country, isn't it? So opening new market with environmental solution. Sometimes the innovation we can go into a high level, we call ecosystem innovation. So this innovation at ecosystem level occur beyond individual organization. It means that you are not only bring in your own company with this innovation process. You want to impact the whole entire industry, not only one customer, the whole entire user base, right? So you're moving towards ecosystem level. So if occur beyond individual organization, of course, in this case, it involves platforms and the partnership, right? So but it's good. It enables the complementary innovation. It's win-win situation, we always say. So then in this case, you will have a network effect. You can grow very fast, your innovation. And then also you can share the infrastructure costs. Because when you have more party to play, right? I mean, the whole system, you are working together, you improve the system, the platform together. So in this case, it's a rapid scaling of ecosystem. For example, Apple Store, right? So Apple Store, you can see that Apple Store basically allow developer to create a lot of different apps, right? So same thing for Android Play and also the Hongmeng, the Harmony, the from Huawei. They're doing the same thing. Can we have decentralized innovation? Yes, definitely. Why we need to decentralize the whole entire process? Because we can reduce the innovation barrier. So everyone can be part of it. So the digital technology enable contribution from different stakeholders, employees, customer, partners, okay, if governments expect, right? So as a result, the impact is bigger. If a greater ideation diversification and you were able to solve problem faster, also you have a strong stakeholder engagement. And when you develop the platform and process, you can have a broader participation. Okay, then in this case, you can able to maintain the strategy direction, also the the resource allocation. Okay, Allego is one of the very successful company have demonstrated. So systematic innovation capability, right? So systematic innovation capability, it will focus on the developing capability rather than individual capability. And we mentioned before that you need to consider the strategic alignment. You need to maintain a balanced innovation investment. So it's called portfolio management basis. The factor would be time frame, the risk level, also is the innovation type. So we understand the innovation is very important, right? But we need to have mutual reinforcement for innovation and competitive advantage. We need to consider the costing and of course, that whether is a sustainable advantage. The innovation you come out is going to be sustainable or it's just a short impact or short improvement. So this mutual reinforcement is very important. So current advantage you have provide resource for future innovation. And future innovation greater regenerate new resource. So it's a look very healthy and very profitable look. So when we look at the competitive advantage, say there's some theory that is we can refer. One is the Michael Porter initial concept, focusing on the cost leadership and also product differentiation. Cost leadership obviously is talking about reduce the cost, right? So that you can make the price profit higher or make a price lower, become more competitive. Expansion of the competitive dimensions, the innovation capabilities, right? So also they will look at how agile your organization, the whole ecosystem must work together, and the whole leadership must go to with the same purpose. Everyone in the organization going the same purpose. If you look at the modern economic environment, the hyper-connected rapidly changes, right? So nowadays it's not only one company, it's the whole entire ecosystem. And everyone need to have continuous reinvention. So that is a requirement, okay, not a advantage. It's a requirement for every company in future. So the purpose of the analysis, right? So we did understand the basic principle and identify the key sources in various industries. That's very important. And also this analysis also will analyze how competitive advantage is demonstrated. Many times you join a certain association, the association will help you to do this competitive advantage so that you know that leader, why they're so successful, right? They will do a lot of research. And we need to measure and sustain the competitive advantage. So method of assessing competitive advantage is very important. And also the strategy maintaining advantage over a certain period of time. Yes, this is some classic theory for competitive advantage, right? So then structure conduct the performance paradigm. industry structure determine the firm conduct. Of course, same industry, the firm more or less, they may have the same process, right? But of course, why their company is one, is a leader, they're very certain unique factor. So firm conduct determine the performance, how they conduct the firm. And the external industry characteristic, sometimes the external industry characteristics shape competitive advantage. So the classic economy perspective from Attendees Smith, they look into specialization, okay, and the division of labor. So specialization lead to a greater scale, right? That's why sometimes we look for professional firm, specialized consultants to do that, right? The other is the operational efficiency. So there is a classic economy, using economy as a theory to measure the competitive advantage. The Porter competitive strategy is very useful. They contribute in terms of the competitive advantage, and the influence of Porter framework among the most influenced approach in terms of the competitive advantage framework. So the generic competitive strategy is they will look at four areas. One is the cost leadership, low cost producer, the producer in the industry. Why low cost is important? Because they are able to have higher margin, profit margin, and then their price is more competitive, right? For example, Walmart. Differentiation strategy, and you create unique and viable product and services. And in this case, your product is very different so that you can ask for higher price. The other one is a focus strategy. So they will apply the cost leadership or differentiation to a very narrow market. Not many company can do. For example, military, right? Only a very unique few company can providing the military services, right? Very niche area. And of course, sometimes strategic direction is very important also. So the five forces model, is a very famous model for measuring the competitive advantage, right? And also they look at the competition in a 360 degree. The first is track of new entrants. So they will look at that, how easy to go to this, how the analyze the ease with which new competitor can enter the market, right? So if it's a barrier higher, then in this case, the track is lower. That is good if you're the leader. Bargaining power of suppliers, they will look at the influence suppliers have on the price and quality of goods, right? So are you controlled by your supplier, right? So does your supplier have a higher power to bargain, right? The other one is how about your buyers, right? By the bargain power of a customer, it will accept the impact of customer on pricing, product, and quality, right? For example, you're using a particular software, then you will get used to it. For example, how Microsoft Office is, become very successful because user may not want to switch to other product, right? So that is measure the bargaining power of user. Of course, as an entrepreneur, you want to have a bargaining power of user as low as possible, right? So that you have more control. User cannot switch easily. The other one is a track of substitute product and services. It will evaluate the likelihood of customer switch to another product. That's what we mentioned just now, right? Then the rivalry among existing competitors measure the intensity of competition within the industry. And the other one is strategic choice, right? Yeah. Okay. I saw the question from Wilson, right? What is the meaning of hyper connector? Are they hyperlinked? No. It's basically the hyper connector. It means there is all the component, all the entity, they are all interrelated. Okay. Yeah. So one entity will affect the other one. For example, right? If we're talking about AI's industry now, right? In fact, the AI industry, all the standard, they are all hyper interrelated, right? Highly interrelated because they all creating a different LM model, right? As well. So the EV, right? EV, the whole industry, whoever invent a new way of battery, then they will also affect the others. So it's a very highly related industry. So then this strategic choice to influence force, organizational can position themselves where force are weakest. So it means that when you're looking at the whole entire market, when you go in, you look at the force is weaker so that you can penetrate, you can get into this new market. Okay, yeah, this is a very famous Porter five forces model that we can use to scan the environment before we go into any particular industry. Then we also have this value change analysis. Okay, Porter also have this value change framework. So they look at the firm in strategically relevant activities to break down the whole activities and see whether the cost and potential source, okay, of the differentiation. They will look at the whole entire organization, common function, for example, logistic, inbound logistic, operation, the outbound logistic, marketing, sales, and services. So they look at this area, and first they look at that your own pieces, right? You as an entrepreneur, are you strong in particular area, right? So then you can able to focus on that first. We earlier we mentioned about the resource view. Okay, so we don't repeat here, right? So VRIN criteria is called V for variable, rare, R for rare, okay, I for imitation, okay, imitation table. It's difficult for a competitor to replicate. It's very unique, right? You have very unique know-how. Non-substitute bubble is talking about you don't without an equivalent alternative solution. Okay, yeah. So dynamic focus we mentioned just now, and strategic location. Strategic position, just mention one more time, is talking about the occupy a distinctive place in the market. Not anyone can do. Okay, yeah. So like aircraft industry, right? So you must have certain level. Not anyone can go into this aircraft industry. The operational excellence. So in this case, your process, you have very unique process that you have done very well. Not anyone can do, right? Of course, supply chain is one of them. And the innovation capability, you can consider the R&D capability. Whether your team have the design thinking and this ideal, right? Ideal is very famous in human-centered design approach. And then sometimes we need to have our own portfolio management. The network ecosystem advantage is important also, right? So when you're creating an ecosystem like Alibaba, right? Amazon. So when you have this ecosystem, then you have control. And you have a network effect. Service is more variable, and young people will be spending within your ecosystem. The brand and reputation. Brand is important because customers like to associate with the brand. So in this case, with a good brand, it will reduce, okay, you will reduce the perceived risk because the trust have been established. That product and services will meet the expectation, right? So they feel free, customer feel free to buy. The Johnson Johnson reputation for quality, safety, command a higher price. People don't mind to pay higher price. And it will also creating an emotional connection. It's why brand is an advantage, is a competitive advantage. It will establish bond beyond the functional benefit. Harvey Norman brand is enable premium price through emotional connection, right? People having to drive this Harley Davidson motorbike, right? Yeah, it's a very unique character of people, right? Then in this case, you will lower customer acquisition costs because people will come in, and even you don't do marketing, or you don't put too much in marketing, people will come back, right? Or introduce some friends join you. The talent and culture is important. We need to have a superior talent acquisition. Once you have very good platform like McKinsey, right? Why McKinsey can be the top consultants firm in the world? Because people looking forward, graduate talent, they're looking forward to join McKinsey as a consultant, right? So the knowledge development and retention, they will be able to help to build and preserve organizational knowledge so that the knowledge you can able to keep in organization and grow. And of course, we don't forget about the data and analytic capability. So we can able offer personalized offer. At the same time, we can able to optimize operation, and we can able to improve, enhance the product development also. So the financial performance matrix, we need to have this return on investment capability, the capital matrix, so that we can measure our economic profit, and we also know that what kind of margin, okay, that we can have. And finally, we use it to define our price, because the price at the end of the day will be the result of the innovation, right? If we don't have a good the market pricing, then end of the day, your innovation may be wasted. Okay, yeah. So that is what we mentioned in the previous segment. The marketing position indicator, the market share trend, we need to look at how well we are doing, okay, in our R&D, our own product development, right? So are we able to have the consistent gain? So if we ever have a consistent gain, it means that we have a growing competitive advantage. That's very important, so that we keep on pumping in money into it. Then the other one is that how about our share, right? Share of industry profit. So the competitive advantage must translate into market share. If you have a competitive advantage, but it doesn't translate into market share, it means that people don't know about your advantage. So that is very dangerous. So we must make sure that we must have a proportion market share and associate with our competitive advantage, right? So we also have a customer acquisition cost. We understand it's very expensive, and the retention rate is very high, right? So even lower acquisition cost when we have a sustainable advantage. It means we don't need to keep on acquire new customer. We need to keep on pumping a lot of budget, because people know that you are getting better and better. They will keep on coming back to you. Then in this case, you are able to lower the acquisition cost, then translate into profit. Then you can see that actually Tesla, don't we advertise a lot? No? Do you realize it? Tesla is a very successful model that they have sustainable advantage. Of course, now with the China technology, there's a lot of competition, right? But if we talk about Tesla in the past, Tesla don't really put in. Elon Musk don't believe in marketing. He don't really advertise. But he believed that build a wonderful, a good product, people will come in, right? That's how Tesla build his market. So then of course, we look at the market value and the book value compared with the ratio. At the end of the day, you need to develop your market position matrix also. So how can we measure our capability? Yes, you can have that. You can have a resource quality assessment based on just how we mentioned the VRIN criteria. Also, we can able to look at the capability maturity model. Capability maturity model is very interesting model. You may do some research further. It's compare development among the competitors, right? The capability maturity level, actually they will look at the whether from the initial model all the way in the optimization level, right? So you will benchmark the best practice among the key areas. This is reason that some company they pay a couple of $1,000 or 10 over thousand to buy the market research paper, because market research they will give you all these indicators. The innovation matrix also we can use it to track the revenue from new product. Of course, the organization health indicator and strategy alignment factor is important also, right? Yeah. So here is some of the measurement we can use to measure the customer perspective. And also we can use it to look at the different area in terms of the continuous innovation. Remember, we are not talking about just one-off innovation. Now, for a successful company, we need to have ongoing, continuous innovation. And then we're able to develop a dynamic capability, strengthen capability to keep on sensing the opportunity. Okay, once we sense, we find the opportunity quickly, we develop and capture the market. That is the important part. And of course, we need to understand that the strategy must be flexible, right? Because we understand in future there's a lot of opportunity, also a lot of risk. So we need to keep on exploring alternative future, identify the robust strategy as well, right? Yeah, and the ecosystem orchestration, it means that we need to create rule and incentive to attract and retain variable participants. Okay, so people joining the ecosystem must have ongoing continuous advantage, benefit, right? But advantage is if your partners are successful, you were able to strengthen the whole entire overall ecosystem, right? Yeah, and of course we need to define our ecosystem, identify the competitive threat, and address threat to the border the network, right? The cultural reinforcement, again, we mentioned one more time, the value alignment is important. And we need to have a leadership consistency. Okay, now we just heard about Ron Buffett have stepped down, right? Okay, retired, right? But his leadership is for 60 years. So people believe, in his company, his investment, because it's very consistent leadership for 60 years, right? So now the question is that whether the new leader take over, new CEO take over, or whether able to maintain the leadership behavior, right? So sometimes consistency is very important also. The selection and socialization, we need to select the right person. The employee you hire, the staff you're bringing to the system is critical because they might have the same culture, or you need to have very good training for them. The temporary advantage and the is sometimes we call transient advantage concept. So advantage increase temporary in many organizations, right? Industry. But we mentioned that we need to regularly shifting resources from decline to emergence. So once this opportunity go down, then we need to shift our resources. That's why we are moving our resources to keep on attacking the new challenge and seeking for new opportunity also. Okay, yeah, and of course, end of the day, we need to bring the stakeholder, give them the value, right? So traditionally, it's focusing on the customer and shareholder value, but now no, we are not only look at the shareholder, it's stakeholder, right? Everyone involved in the whole entire ecosystem, the company they call stakeholder, right? Even your staff, stakeholder, right? Your customer, of course. So, and then the purpose-driven advantage, address the social and environmental, the ESG environment, and hopefully you're able to have a better business model. The digital platform is useful. Then we are moving towards winner take most market. That's why most of the company, in order to be sustainable, they must have this dominant position. And we need to collect different participant group into creating a best value. The data is important. And of course, AI, it become a hardcore technology today for many, many platforms. And with the AI technology, the algorithmic advantage, because we can able to predict, okay, have a better prediction, forecast customer behavior, and we are able to using AI to do a lot of personalization experience. Then also we can have an automation to simulate environment so that we can have the best allocation, or we call intelligent resource allocation, right? Staff emerge business advantage. We can see a lot of staff actually is very useful. Staff actually fill up a lot of different gaps. The way we can see how the staff move, right? Actually, we can use it for a lot of reference. And the agility and focus, we need to focusing on the particular resources so that we can avoid the legacy business constraint as well, right? The SME advantage, why SME is still very important for many countries, especially places like Hong Kong, Singapore, right? Because the local market knowledge, even you are expanding as an international company, but the SME, they are still the one that don't have a very strong local market knowledge. They have deep understanding of specific market segment. Also, they can build a very strong relation with the customer. But they specialize, the ownership align properly, and they have keep on maintaining the advantage. So it's why SME is still very important. Every country, every government must sure that they are helping the SME. But how about big organization, large enterprise? Yes, they have an advantage, right? Because they have a scale of we call scale economies, because they're able to produce a big volume of the goods, right? So in this case, the cost is lower. They can leverage multiple product line to able to achieve a better capability. They have a richest resources, and they also have maybe they may have a couple ecosystem. They influence the whole industry, right? How about non-profit organization? If you're the social entrepreneur, yeah, you need to make sure that you attract supporter, volunteer, and employee, right? Your advantage, your business advantage is basically you align with your organizational purpose. People believe in your organizational purpose. Post after the pandemic, right? We call post-pandemic acceleration. Digital transformation is very important, including today AI. During the pandemic, we see that a lot of disruption in the supply chain. So now we are talking about supply chain resilience, especially today the trade war, and we need to have a distributed working model, work model, and of course the purpose driven is very important connection as well. Okay, yeah. So this is sustainable. We mentioned before. Make sure that every business that you're running must meet the ESG. And this we call geopolitical realignment. That is a hot topic today, right? So how can we able to have present in multi-region location, and this anti-globalization is getting more mainstream, and we need to make sure that at the same time, not only building our capability, also be able to fulfill different regulatory requirement. The talent competition is very intense. Different country, different company, right? They're fighting for the talent. So the human capital role in competitive outcome is very important, right? Yeah. So finally, as a conclusion, so how can we build a from competitive advantage in regenerative advantage? That is interesting, especially with the AI, right? It's not only competitive advantage, okay? It's a self-sustained, growing, regenerative advantage. Then this is a future topic, and this including from the traditional focus on outperforming rival and go into creating new opportunity. It's not looking for new opportunity. It's you create new opportunity. Okay, there's a brand new area. So what is the regenerative advantage? It's create value for broader system, generating positive outcome across multi-dimension, right? The dimension of regenerative advantage is one is called sustainable. End of the day, it will reach a sustainable return and are able to keep on building capability, right? Yeah. And this advantage at the end of the day, we are able to build a meta capability for continuous regeneration. So it's going to be very interesting. So 10 years from now, you can see some new company that you never experienced before, never imagined before, but they have a huge, amazing regenerative advantage, okay, in the market. Okay, yeah. So I hope that tonight this is a very interesting topic we call competitive advantage, right? Yeah. So now we can start addressing some of the questions, right?